Hello guys, it's me Tunari, this is Tunarific, and I want to welcome you all back for a new series I want to start in this channel, on my main channel. This is basically a show that I want to do every other Friday or maybe other Monday, it depends, but I want to call this show Film Review Fridays. And well, the name is basically self-explanatory. It will be me reviewing a film of my choice or your choice that either is in the theaters right now or it's on Netflix or wherever. It'll be basically me reviewing a movie, and yeah. So let's get started. One thing I will clear up before we start is as follows. I know my lighting is not that great. I'm trying to find out better ways to make more light come my way, but for now this is gonna be it. I also want to show you how the layout of my movie reviews is going to be, because there are different movie reviewers out there who like to review movies in their own style. My style is that of having a structure of sorts when it comes to reviewing movies. First of all, I wish to not include any spoilers for the movies I'm going to be presenting you. All the stuff that I will be reviewing won't be spoilery at all, unless in the movie trailer they make any references to it. Then I'll make references to it here and there. But other than that, no spoilers. I also want to make sure to make you guys know that when I review movies, it's going to be based out of these three things. First of all, I'll give a plot summary. I'll give a basic summary of the movie. After I've done that, I will review both acting, visuals, special effects, the plot. The screenplay, directing itself. I'll do all that. After that, I will give my personal review of the movie, and as well compare it to other reviews by other websites or such. So yeah. Now that I have that cleared, let's get started with this movie review, which is, if you cannot see by the poster I have in the background, is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, first of all, it was directed by Mark Webb. He also directed the first Spider-Man movie. And it stars Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker Spider-Man. It stars Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. They both reprise their roles. It also includes introduces Jamie Foxx and Dane DeHaan. Jamie Foxx is his character is Max Dillon / Electro, and Dane DeHaan plays Harry Osborn, which is Peter's childhood friend. And we also see Sally Field as Aunt May. All the characters you'll see throughout this movie are Paul Giamatti, Felicity Jones, Chris Cooper, and Dennis Leary, as well as others. But those are the main ones. At least the ones you should be keeping an eye out, I guess. So yeah, let's get started with the plot summary. Sorry for that. Amazing Spider-Man 2 basically starts off where Amazing Spider-Man left. Mark Webb in that case decided to make sure that things get are that the events from the Spider-Man will immediately reflect the events of Spider-Man 2. As Peter Parker, you see Peter Parker in this film struggling with the relationship with Gwen Stacy. It's one of the main subplots. It's basically Peter Parker trying to understand the responsibility of his powers into a more extent, as he loves being Spider-Man and he loves doing whatever Spider can. So it's basically him exploring that. And this movie also explores a lot of things, as I mentioned. Peter's relationship with Gwen Stacy, as in the first movie he promised Gwen Stacy's dad, who died, that he would stay away from Gwen Stacy because for her own sake, for her own safety. And Peter Parker throughout this movie struggles with should he stay away from her even though he loves her, or should he not be afraid about being with her. This movie also talks about the relationship between Peter and his aunt, and how he's trying to make sure that he wishes to know more about their relationship with his parents, because in the first movie you see his parents left, and this movie explains more about why they left, so you will know the answers as to why they left and who they really were. But throughout this movie, that's the kind of the basic summary. Peter Parker struggles with knowing the truth about his parents. And who were they working for? Why did they leave? Yada yada yada. You'll know all those answers when you watch this movie. Of course, one of the other subplots to this movie is the fact that, well, as I mentioned, Harry Osborn, Peter's childhood friend, returns after being on boarding school. I think that was the proper term that they said for this. That he returns from boarding school. His father, Harry Osborn, was dying, so he's going to run the company and everything. His father, Norman Osborn. I think I said Harry Osborn again, but his father, Norman Osborn, was dying, so he's back, because he wants to take over things. And it's basically also, this movie also like shows the relationship between Peter Parker and Harry Osborn, and how Harry Osborn wants to get Spider-Man. I won't go into more detail, but you will see in the movie and you'll understand. And it also explores Max Dillon, which is the character Jamie Foxx plays, which is Electro. This guy, Max Dillon, is like this guy who, like, no one notices. He gets very excited when people reference him, or when people mention his name, because he thinks no one knows he exists. And after a series of events, after an accident on an Oscorp, he manages to fall into an eel tank while holding electrical stuff. So it all shocks him and makes him alter his genes, so he becomes Electro, which is basically this villain who has electricity. He can power things with electricity, or shut down things with his own electricity. So it's kind of like Peter not only struggling with what he struggles, but also struggling with the new villain, or villains, should I say. But I'll leave that to you to find out. But yeah, I think that's basically the summary of the movie itself, so let's get on with the analyzing. Now, the movie analysis, I think the acting and the visuals were one thing that really stood out to me in this film. The visuals were not anything extraordinary, but they were fitting, you could probably say, to what the movie was trying to show. But I want to focus first on the acting. I think everyone did a great job on acting. I think the acting was by far the best thing in this movie, other than the visuals. I think Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, their relationship that was shown and portrayed in this movie, was great. I personally felt a connection between them. I felt that they really loved each other, and I felt the awkwardness and the silliness between them. So that was kind of a nice touch that I decided to add to this movie. I like that they focused that in the movie as well, so because it kind of grows into what we have already seen in the Amazing Spider-Man, the first one. I also like the fact that all the acting was great. I mean, the villain Jamie Foxx did a great job portraying Electro. I mean, yes, he was silly. He was like this guy who oh, do you know my name? Do you know me? Who I am? Yeah, I think Jamie Foxx did a really good job. I like Jamie Foxx as a person in itself, so I think he did a good job. I think he really portrayed the fact that he wants himself to be known, that Electro's character wanted, attention, and the way he will get that attention if he beat down Spider-Man, who was his idol in the beginning. And Dane DeHaan, the guy who plays Harry Osborn, man, my respects. That guy really, really played the better Harry Osborn. And what I mean the better is that James Franco can, go away. I think he did a better job than James Franco did. I think everyone did a better job than the past three Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi trilogy. I think the reboots here are better than the trilogy with Tobey Maguire and the rest. Anyway, but yeah, I think the acting was great. I really liked the feeling, the emotions. Andrew Garfield did great. Emma Stone, Sally Field, Jamie Foxx, Dan DeHaan, all the other actors as well. Paul Giamatti. I have an issue with Paul Giamatti, but I'll get to that in a bit. But now I want to talk about the visuals in this movie, where which were great. I really liked the visuals in this movie. Some people thought that the visuals were like kind of like whatever, but I think they were fitting to what we saw. I mean, the only action scenes were basically the ones with the Green Goblin and the Electro, especially Electro, because Electro's the main villain in this movie. I think, they really... What I really liked about this movie is that the fact that they portrayed the Spidey senses, in a really unique way. They use slow motion for that, most of them, which is like, hey, fitting. You can see how Spider-Man reacts to all these fast sequence of events. Electro's powers, how Electro was portrayed, his visuals, all the special effects behind Electro, I think they were great. The fighting scenes, I think the fighting itself, all the special effects behind the fighting scenes, and I mean, you'll see when you go watch the film. When you see an action film, you expect great technology, great effects being put to it, and I think that the movie does it. The movie does it fair. The movie does, give the power to the special effects. So I really, really do like that. However, I also want to get to this thing that really ticked me off about this movie, and yeah. So let's get to it, because one thing that really bothered me about this movie was the weak plot the movie had. Not necessarily the storyline. I want to make that clear. I don't think the storyline was weak. I like where the story is going. From here to the sequels that are going to be in the future. I just didn't like the way it was portrayed. I didn't think it was... I think it was disorganized. I don't think it was organized the way it should have been, in my opinion. I think the plot itself was really weak. And here's the reason why. The movie was based out of subplots. The subplots made up the plot to this movie. You see in the movie Spider-Man's relationship with Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man's relationship with his aunt, Spider-Man's relationship with Harry Osborn, Spider-Man's struggle with himself and finding out about the truth about his powers and his parents, and also his struggle with dealing with the bad guys in this movie. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, and I get it, Spider-Man has a lot of issues to deal with, the whole responsibility factor of things. I get that. What I didn't like is how they try to hurry it all in and try to include as many things as possible in this movie, which if you haven't seen Spider-Man 3, that never works out. At least something's gonna go wrong. And that's what happened in this movie. They tried to include too much again, and that was the wrong of this movie. In Amazing Spider-Man, and in Spider-Man 3, they included 3 villains. So does this movie. This movie includes Electro. This is not really a spoiler. You can see in one of the posters. Green Goblin is a villain in this movie as well, and Rhino is a villain in this movie as well. And that's where I'm going to go right now with Rhino. I think he shouldn't have been in this movie. You probably disagree with me, I understand, but I think Rhino was one of those characters that he could have been cut, and the movie would have gone a little bit of a different direction towards the end or towards the beginning. You'll see in the movie what I mean by that. He could have either had more screen time or less screen time. Or not at all, because adding him in adds more to the cluster of things, which, okay, I don't get it. Why is he here? Why is he one of the main characters if he only gets 10 minutes of screen time or less? That was my issue with it. I think they should have cut his character. I mean, they cut Shailene Woodley's Mary Jane Watson. Why not cut Paul Giamatti's Rhino? I think they could have included them in the next movie, per se. So that was one of my issues. It's just pretty much too many villains in one. I'll say this, they did give really good background and they went to detail with the 2 other villains. This other villain seemed not useless to me in this movie. I think they should include him in the future. I think it was basically more of an Easter egg, but an Easter egg left unexplained. an Easter egg just like thrown out there just because contract or Sony wanted 3 villains in this movie for some reason, you know. But yeah, it sucks, you know. I wish the plot was more organized in some way, that it would have make it easier for not only comic book fans like me, but for like the general audience to understand where the movie's going and not to be distracted by all the things happening. I wish they would have been a little more organized that way, that, you know, the scenes would have a sequence, and that you know, it wouldn't be like, oh, hey, you know, in this scene, Spider-Man is trying to be with Gwen Stacy, and in this other scene, he's trying to find out the truth about his parents. In this other scene, he tries about finding the bad guys. In this other scene, he's discussing with Aunt May. In this other scene, he's trying to look for a job, and with the whole pictures. I mean, sorry for that. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I wish they would have focused a little bit more on some certain details, or at least organized it better so that not only comic book fans, but the general audience would understand where the direction of this movie is going. So yeah. That being said, I did like this movie. I don't want you to get that just because you didn't like the way it was organized doesn't mean I didn't like it. I did like it. I think the acting and the visual effects did it for me, as well as the storyline and where it's going, but not the plot or the way it was organized. So, that being said, I want to give this movie a review. I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10, basically. Other movie review sites gave it a different score, which I'll be going to in a moment. IMDb gave this movie a 74% out of 100, I think. Or I think it was 76, I'm not really sure. It's either one of those two. Which I think is fair. I think it was kind of like where I was leading to in my review as well. A 7.5 or 8. Basically saying the same thing, you know, great acting, great quality, and everything. However, Rotten Tomatoes were a little bit more harsh in this movie. This movie is right now rotten due to the standards of how this movie works. It has a 54% out of 100. Yeah. It didn't do as bad as the Spider-Man 3, but yeah, it was bad. This movie's not rotten in terms. It's 54% is basically saying the same thing, that great acting, great visuals, but messy, disorganized plot. Nothing really I can do about it, but I wish that the next movie is gonna be better. But yeah, that's basically the whole consensus, whole review. So my final conclusion is: go watch this movie. It's entertaining. It does its job as an entertaining movie. If you're looking forward to a organized plot or sequence of events, you're gonna be disappointed. So if you're going with high expectations for this movie, lower them down a little bit. That way you won't get as disappointed. That's only a tip I can give you. But yeah, it didn't give me that much of a surprise. That surprise feeling of, oh man, it's the Amazing Spider-Man. This movie didn't do that for me. It was more of a, oh, the entertaining Spider-Man, but it wasn't necessarily the Amazing Spider-Man. So that being said, I think that's it for this review. Thank you guys for watching. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. What were your feelings toward this movie? If you agree or disagree with me, so I can discuss with you in the comments below. Also, if you do enjoy this review, make sure to give it a thumbs up, rate it, and do all the kind of cool stuff, like also sending it to your friends and family. That really helps me a lot. And subscribe. That way you will know when I make a new video and new reviews and all kind of stuff that's gonna come in the future. I actually have some other stuff in mind I'm gonna do, other than movie reviews, so please stay tuned for that. Before I leave, though, I want to make sure that I didn't include any sports in this movie because I wanted to have a discussion video of sorts with you guys that's coming out in the future about this movie, going more into detail about the plot and going actually into spoilers and all the Easter eggs that happen in this movie. So that being said, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. This is Tunarific, and stay tuned. See ya.